Hello everyone and welcome back to Tea Time Crochet. Today we're going to be working on another version of a messy bun hat. This one's slightly different than the other one. The hole is larger and we have this decorative ridges right here that we're going to add to it. So you're going to need some worsted weight yarn. I would at least have a whole skein because this section right here takes up a little bit more yarn than what a normal hat would take. So I was kind of playing yarn chicken with this hat right here. It's actually a little bit shorter than what I had intended it to be because I ran out of yarn, but it still fits an adult, a teen to an adult. So but I would start out with a whole skein just simply because we don't know exactly the yardage on what this hat takes. So I'm going to be using Red Heart Super Saver, and this is in the color Pool. It's just this really pretty blue. And any worsted weight yarn will work. I'm also going to be using a 5.5 millimeter crochet hook. And that is simply because this is what the yarn suggests. I know normally I use a 5 millimeter crochet hook, but since this hat is not going to be for me, it's going to be going up in my shop. I kind of want a standard sizing, and I've been doing that a lot with a lot of my projects lately. You're also going to need some scissors and a yarn needle. And you're also going to need your hat sizing chart. I've just printed this out and I printed it a little bit smaller so it would fit in this little notebook that I have been keeping in my craft bag. So you're just going to need your hat sizing charts. I will be putting a copy of this chart on my website. I have not done it yet, but stay tuned for that. So if you want to go to my website probably later this week, it should be there in the blog section. So this is just the chart that I like the most out of all the hat sizing charts because it has a wide variety of sizes to it. So and this is the same chart that I have on that full-length paper. I've just printed it off a little bit smaller, so it's more accessible in my crochet bag. So we're going to start off with doing some chains, and you're going to start with a slip knot. Oh, before I get started, you're going to have to excuse my hands. They're a little messed up right now. So if they look gross, which they do, because I have blisters and I got bruises and stuff, that's simply because we got our new washer and dryer in, and then we got the supplies for our new patio that we're going to be building in the spring. And both times I smashed my hands on each one of those things. And then we had a couple nice days this last week, so we've been doing a lot of yard work, taking care of getting rid of some bushes in our yard that we don't want and whatnot. So my hands are a little messed up, so you'll have to forgive that if they look a little gross right now. But what we're going to start off with is we're going to chain 24. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. And then we're going to join to the beginning stitch that we made. Make sure that your work does not twist or anything, because we want that to be nice and flat. And we're just going to slip stitch to join. And if you just pull that tail a little bit, that will tighten that up. So to start off with, we're going to chain 1, and as usual, we're going to pretend that chain 1 doesn't exist. I am not going to say that every round, so just keep that in mind. When I chain 1 at the very beginning of a row, that chain 1 doesn't even exist. We're just going to pretend like it's not there. So we're going to go back into that beginning stitch there with a double crochet. And then in the next stitch, we're going to put 2 double crochets. And that is our repeat for this round. So in the next stitch will be 1 double crochet. And I'm only going on under one of the legs of that chain. That way I have 2 loops on the bottom. Just kind of makes it a little bit neater. And then in the next stitch, we're going to be putting 2 double crochets. So you're going to go ahead and repeat that all the way around, and then I will meet up with you when I am on my last stitch. Okay, so I've went all the way around, and then my last stitch is an increased stitch. So I'm going to slip stitch to join into the beginning double crochet. And this is what you should have so far. It kind of looks like a little donut. So I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to go back into that beginning double crochet with 1 double crochet, and then 1 double crochet into the next stitch, and then 2 double crochets into the next stitch. This is basically the same way we would make a normal hat, other than the first 2 rounds are missing. So that's your repeat for this round. So the next stitch would be 1 double crochet, and the next stitch would be 1 double crochet, and in the next stitch 2 double crochets for an increase. So just like that. So go ahead and repeat that all the way around, and I will meet up with you on my last stitch. Okay, so I'm to my last stitch, and your last stitch should be an increased stitch. So you just want to slip stitch to join to this beginning double crochet. And then we're going to chain 1, and then put 1 double crochet into that first stitch, 1 double crochet into the next stitch, and 1 double crochet into the next stitch. And then in the next stitch, which is the 4th stitch, you'll put an increase, which is 2 double crochets. And that is your repeat for this round. Depending on what size you're doing, you could do this for any size. You're going to want to keep measuring across the top for the circumference, and that's where your chart's going to come in. So I'm going to be doing an adult woman's, so mine roughly needs to be 6.5 to 6.75. I think I came out 6.5 on the last hat, so, and that was, you know, plenty big enough for a adult woman. With the stitch that we're doing, you're not going to get exactly accurate to the measurement, but you do want to get as close as you can. Just keep that in mind when you're making stuff. It may not be exactly what they say your measurement should be, but as long as you're somewhere in the area, you'll do just fine. So mine, I know I need to do one more round. So if this was a normal hat, there would be 2 rows here, and then this would be the 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So basically, I know, because I've done so many hats, I have to do 5 increase rounds for a adult woman's hat. I just know that already. but just go off your chart, off the size that you need, and then keep measuring across, you know, just like this, and that will give you the measurement. As long as you're coming as close as you can get to the size that you need, you'll be just fine. But go ahead and repeat this all the way around, and then I will meet up with you when I get to my last stitch. Okay, so I've completed the round. You're going to end with an increase stitch. You're going to slip stitch to join to the beginning double crochet, and then you'll want to just measure. So mine is a little over 6.5 inches, which is where I need to be, because if I did one more round, I would be over the measurement that I need. So for the next round, you're going to repeat until you get to the length of your hat. For mine, the length of my hat needs to be roughly between 9 and 10 inches. So I'm probably going to shoot for 9 inches, because I find 10 inches is just too long for your average woman. So, but we need to keep in mind that we have a hole here. So this hole on a normal hat would be equivalent to 2 rounds. So we kind of need, when we're measuring it, we're not going to measure from here. We're going to measure from where the hat would start if we were going to be making a normal hat. Otherwise, our measurement will be off. So we're going to roughly guess where the hat would have started if we'd started like a normal hat, and then measure from there. So for this next round, and this is where the decorative ridging comes in. And unfortunately, no matter how I tried it, I could not get the seam to be invisible. But I did get it where it was, you know, nice and neat. But you can still see it because that's where the ridge joins. And there's just no way of getting it to where it's nice and flush all the way across. So do keep that in mind. You can always throw a big flower over top of that if you don't like it, or just put it at the back of the hat. It really, you know, doesn't matter. Okay, so we're going to do a back post double crochet around this first stitch and the chain 1 that we have created in every row. So I find it easiest to kind of just pinch it in half, and then it's easier to pull that strand through. Now, we're not chaining 1 here, so you need to remember not to chain 1. We're just going to go straight into a back post double crochet, and that will create that neater seam. It's not an invisible seam, but it is a nice neater seam than what it is if you chain 1. So we're just going to put 1 back post double crochet in every stitch around. So go ahead and complete all of those, and I will meet up with you when I'm on my last stitch to show you how to join, and then you can go from there. Okay, so I've gone all the way around. You can see the ridge starting to form. You want to make sure that you grab this last stitch right here, because sometimes it can be hidden underneath the beginning stitch, and then we're going to just slip stitch to join into that beginning double crochet. So just like that. And then you're just going to repeat this round until your hat measures the length that it needs to be. Like I said, mine is going to be about 9 inches. And in order to do that, like I had just showed you, you're going to measure it like this. And you're going to pretend like those first 2 rows are there when you're measuring it. And you're just going to keep measuring until it gets the length that it needs to be. So that's going to be completely on your chart. It varies for size. So like I said, mine is anywhere from 9 to 10 inches. So I'm going to shoot for somewhere in that range, closer to the 9-inch than the 10. So just go ahead and repeat this round. For the first several rounds, the hat's going to look weird, and you're going to sit there and think, oh, it's not going to, form that hat shape that's sort of, that bucket shape. But eventually, the further you get, it will. As you can see with this one, the further I got, the more it's shaped like a hat. So go ahead and do that, and then I will catch up with you when I am on my last round. Okay, so I finished all my rows. What you're going to do when you're finished with the length of your hat, you're just going to slip stitch to join, just like you have before, and then just fasten off. So just like that. I've done a total of, we did our 3 increase rows, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have done a total of 13 rows, or for the ridge section I have 13 rows, and then 3 rows for our increase section. So this is what you should have so far. I've used about, I would say, half a skein of Red Heart Super Saver, which is, where is it? It's about 364 yards, so I've used about half of that, maybe a little less than half. I'm just guessing. But this is what you should have now. All you got to do is just hide your tails, and then you're done. So thanks for watching. Have a great day.